Hola clase, welcome to part 2 of reflexive verbs. Please have watched the first part before watching this one. We're going to go into a little more detail of when to use the object pronouns. So just to recap, reflexive verb is an action we do to ourselves. The person doing the action receives the action. Carlos se afeita la cara. Carlos is receiving his own action of shaving himself. So the subject is also the object in these kinds of sentences. The reflexive verbs end in se. You can have verbs without them. It just does not, it means you're not doing that action to yourself. So lavar is to wash, but lavarse is to wash oneself. Llamar is to call. I could call you on the phone, but llamarse is to call oneself. Me llamo. The reflexive verb pronouns are as follows: me, te, se, nos, os, se. How do you conjugate a reflexive verb? Well, step 1, you take off the ARSE. Then you use the reflexive verb pronoun that goes with the subject, and then you conjugate the verb and put it after. So, me peino, te peinas, se peina, nos peinamos, os peinais, se peinan, it should be, and se peinan. Here are the reflexive verbs that you are responsible for. I know there's a lot, so try to use your 3 strategies. Say the verbs out loud, write the verbs, do an action for each word, use a mnemonic device, or try to attach them to a prior knowledge. For example, lavar always reminded me of lava washing down a volcano, and I thought of lava soap. Levantarse, to levitate. I always thought of a magician levitating the lady off the table. Peinarse, it has the word pain in it because it's painful for me to comb my hair. To get dressed, it has the word vest in it, and a vestido is a dress in Spanish. Dormirse, the word dormir looks like dormant, or your dorm room where you sleep. So go through and try to think of some way to put these in your head. So where else can you put the reflexive verb pronouns? Well, they can be attached directly to the infinitive. And this is where you learned to put it already in front of a conjugated verb. So Josefina se va a levantar temprano. Or I can put it attached right to the infinitive. Levantar with the R in there is the infinitive. Josefina va a levantarse. So these mean the exact same thing. And these are called compound verbs because they have 2 verbs together in the same sentence. Like, I want to put on my chancletas. So I want to put on my flip-flops. Quiero ponerme las chancletas. In Spanish, I want to put on myself the flip-flops. Otro ejemplo, Felipe quiere afeitarse. So this is conjugated for Felipe, quiere. That's in the infinitive, and you have to use the pronoun that goes with Felipe. Quiere afeitarse. So if I say I need to put on my makeup, yo necesito maquillarme. I have to have me because I'm putting it on myself. They can also be attached to the present participle or the ing in Spanish, which is yendo or ando. So Carlos se está afeitando. So that's Carlos is shaving himself. Or I could attach it right onto the ando. Carlos está afeitándose. But notice I have to put an accent mark on the A because it has to keep the same stress as if when that wasn't there. Carlos está afeitando. So afeitándose. I have to put the stress. Otherwise it would move over to do. Otro ejemplo. Pablo se está durmiendo. Pablo está durmiéndose. So durmiéndose has the accent on the E. A Julia no le gusta despertarse. So you can also use it with gustar. So no le gusta despertarse. He doesn't like to wake himself up early. Se despierta a las 7:08. So another weird thing about reflexive verbs is you don't use the definite article. For example, you say in Spanish, I wash myself the face. I brush myself the teeth. The girl took off the shoes. La niña se quitó los zapatos. Me cepillé los dientes. You don't say sus or mis or whatever is the possessive. So you just leave it as the. Sometimes making a verb reflexive changes the meaning. For example, acordar means to agree, but acordarse means to remember. Levantar means to lift, and levantarse is to get up. Otro ejemplo, ir is to go. For example, va a la playa, or yo voy a la playa, or vamos a la playa, and irse is to leave. Se va, me voy. If I tell you I'm leaving, I say yo me voy. You also use these with all of the tenses. You guys know past tense so far. So here's an example of present. Raúl se acuesta en el sofá. And past, Raúl se acostó en el sofá. Me acordé. Past tense, I remembered. Me acordé. And here's an example of all the tenses. So this is she's going to bathe. Remember, they mean the same thing, whether you attach it to the infinitive or put it in front of the conjugated verb. So you can just decide if you want to always put it in front of the conjugated verb to keep it simple, then that's what you can do. Quiere bañarse, she wants to bathe, se quiere bañar. Se está bañando, está bañándose, with that accent. Se baña, you only have one option, and se bañó is she bathed. So here's a list of the reflexive verbs, and then here's a list of the same verbs without them. Remember, the verb is not reflexive when something else is receiving the action. Lola lava los platos. Los platos is the direct object, and that's receiving her action. She's washing the plates. Versus Isabel se lava la cara. She's receiving her own action. She washes herself the face. Otro ejemplo, acuesta al bebé, and ella se acuesta. El conejo siente suave, it feels soft. Ella se siente mala, she feels bad. Se despierta, y él despierta al niño. The niño is receiving his action. Le visten a la mujer. El niño se viste. Paula levanta las cajas. Pablo se levanta, getting himself up. Dora se peina el pelo. La mamá le peina el pelo a su hija. Sergio se ducha. La mamá le ducha al bebé. Lenny se maquilla. Sofía le maquilla a la actriz. Teresa se baña. El papá le baña a la bebé. Le cepilla los dientes al perro. Se cepilla los dientes. Se lava los dientes. This concludes the reflexive verb tutorial. I hope that helps.